So there I was, sitting in a classroom, waiting to find out whether the universe would make me a superhuman or a stray dog. In this world, everything runs on talents. You touch a magic rock, the rock decides if you get a power, and then you spend the rest of your life feeding that power rare materials so it can evolve into something scarier. No cultivation, no training arcs, just talent, groceries, and evolution. Sounds simple. It is not. Because most talents come with no instruction manual. Nobody knows what materials they eat. Guess wrong, and your talent breaks forever. So the whole world is basically a gotcha game where the pulls can permanently brick your account. Me? I transmigrated into this place a month ago. Orphan, no money, no connections, invisible seat in the back row. And today is Awakening Day. The teacher marches us into a hall with a big glowing stone tablet in the middle. One by one, my classmates walk up and touch it. First guy, the tablet flickers and dies. Awakening failed. No talent. Ever. The teacher crosses out his name like she's canceling a food order. The kid's face goes the color of old paper, and the teacher just says, "Next." Second girl, failed. Third, failed. Fourth, fifth, sixth, failed, failed, failed. The room smells like sweat and shattered dreams. Then one girl lights the tablet up like a Christmas tree. Wang Mei, the school beauty, awakens healing light, and half the boys in the room start mentally planning their weddings. And that's when my life glitches. I look at her and words appear in my vision. Healing light, evolution paths, 2, full material lists for both, down to the milliliter of mountain spring water. I look at the next successful kid. Speed talent, 2 paths, full recipes. Another kid, whirlwind, 3 paths. I'm sitting there, calmly hyperventilating, because in a world where evolution paths are state secrets that entire families kill for, I have a cheat that reads them off strangers like nutrition labels. Then they call my name. I touch the tablet, the universe explodes behind my eyelids, and 2 words surface in my skull. Dragonclaw. The teacher actually looks sad for me. See, Dragonclaw is famous. It's the strongest starter talent in existence, and also the worst, because in all of recorded history, nobody has ever evolved it. You get one glorious year of shredding your classmates, and then everyone passes you like you're standing on the highway waving. The strongest, and also the worst. My classmates immediately start the eulogy. He got lucky. He'll be stuck at tier 1 forever. Poor guy. Meanwhile, I'm looking at my own right arm, and the cheat is scrolling text at me. Dragonclaw. Evolution paths. 6. 6. Fire dragon arm. Thunder dragon arm. Wind, dark, light, death. Full shopping lists for each. The unevolvable talent has more evolution paths than anyone's ever had, and I'm the only person alive who can see them. Cool. Very cool. Love that for me. Out of 160 students, 13 awaken. We get pulled into a special class, handed a resource voucher, and told the college entrance exam is in a month, so go get combat experience in the beginner's secret realm. Simple enough. On my way out, Wang Mei catches up to me, the school beauty, in the flesh. She wants to team up for the secret realm because her only talent is healing. And I look at this walking national treasure, and I say, no, I know. The title of my whole life is right there. I rejected the school beauty. But hear me out. I have a cheat that whispers state secrets at me all day, and the last thing I need is a witness. She blinks at me like I've just declined free money, which, fair. Then a guy named Guo Zichen slithers over, stone arm talent, rich daddy, face like he practices sneering in the mirror. He tells Wang Mei to ignore that arrogant trash, and offers himself as her escort. She refuses him harder than I refused her, tells him to use her full name, and walks off. Guo Zichen stands there marinating in his own humiliation, and I make a mental note. That one's going to be a problem. At the school warehouse, I get to pick one ancient rune, which is this world's version of a skill book. The catch is that runes only work if they fit your talent, and normally you'd have to guess. My cheat just stamps compatibility scores on everything. Ice Dragon Roar, 0. Frenzied Charge, 70. Rending Claw, 100. Thank you, I'll take the 100. Home is a sad little box in the poor district because transmigration rules require orphans to live in cinematic poverty. I count my life savings, 10,000 yuan, spend 6 of it on supplies and entry fees, and walk into the beginner's secret realm through a glowing door carved in a giant tree. 30 seconds in, a fireball the size of a basketball tries to delete my head. A red firewolf, tier 1 vicious beast, lion-sized, drooling at me like I'm a delivery order. It charges. I roll under the second fireball, my right arm turns into a dragon claw, and I swing once. Its neck opens in 3 places. Second swing, its skull pops like a dropped watermelon. I stand there for a second, looking at my claw, and I say out loud, to nobody, okay, that's fair. Then I harvest its tail fur and a rib bone, because my cheat also happens to know the market price of every body part in this forest. 1,100 yuan. The wolf was worth more dead than my entire furniture. And then the cheat unlocks its second feature. And this is where I fall in love. I look around and it starts giving me directions like a sarcastic GPS. This way, only monsters. Boring. That way, a ley line flower. Decent money. Over there, a death attribute fruit you literally need for your evolution. But watch out for the ghoul. And do not go down that road. There is a tier 3 beast there and you will die. Yes, you specifically. I have a navigation system with opinions, and every single opinion makes me richer. I'm picking the ley line flower when a masked man steps out of the trees with iron fists and a business proposal, which is that I leave everything and maybe he lets me live. A scavenger, player killer. He's killed enough people in here to afford good boots. I look at him, he looks at me. He punches, I punch back, and his fist bones make a sound fists should not make. 2 exchanges later, his head is rolling downhill and I'm going through his pockets where I find a space ring. A space ring. Storage jewelry worth 100 grand that sells out the second it hits the market, on the finger of a mugger. No wonder scavenging pays well. Shame about the job security. Inside the ring, among his stolen goods, 5 drops of skeleton leopard blood. Death attribute. My cheek quietly highlights it because it's an ingredient for the death dragon arm. The murder economy is now funding my evolution. I decide not to examine the ethics of that too closely. The rest of the trip is a montage of me being the worst thing in this forest. Skeleton soldiers crawl out of the dirt. My cheat points at the flames in their eye sockets and says, break the heads. I break the heads. A ghoul lunges out of the ground. I punch a hole through its chest, and the moment my claw passes through its body, something clicks inside my arm. Armor piercing, activated. My attacks now ignore skin like it's a suggestion. Then I pick the necrotic fruit, dig up a metal box the GPS swears is right there. 1 more meter. Careful now. And inside is a physique potion from some high-tech world. I drink it. My body upgrades itself by half, and while I'm flexing at absolutely no one, a new screen pops up. My name, body 23, force 24, agility 24, precision 31, limit for everything 100, average human limit 10. I have a stat panel now, and the panel is dangling a theory in front of me, because why list a limit unless reaching it matters? What if you max your attributes before evolving? Nobody in this world would ever try that, because they evolve the second they can afford to. I file that thought under later, and later is going to pay out like a jackpot. The cheat keeps feeding me. A withered leaf of the Enlightenment tree, buried 2 kilometers away. A legendary brain booster people would start wars over, and it's just sitting in the mud, waiting for a guy with a talking map. A python tries to eat me on the way. I suplex it into the ground and turn it into dinner and 500 UN. That night, I brew the leaf into tea, drink it, and my head goes so clear I can hear my own neurons filing paperwork. I grab the rending claw rune, and a skill that takes normal people 2 weeks to learn clicks in 1 evening. My claw swings now hit twice as hard. The panel updates itself and adds a skill line with proficiency ranks, entry, mastery, perfection, like it's daring me to grind. Somewhere in the dark, a merchant in a black robe wanders up and introduces himself as an information broker. These guys sell monster locations inside secret realms, whole guild of them, reputation guaranteed, 10-fold refund policy. I buy the locations of 2 dragon beasts off him for 6 grand in materials because my second claw trait needs dragon blood, and make another mental note. A guild that knows where everything is. That's either very useful or very dangerous. Spoiler, it's going to be both. Next morning, I kill a blood python that had just swallowed a heavenly treasure, drink its medicine-flavored blood straight from the wound like an absolute barbarian, feel my stats climb, then hike into the mountains where scavenger number 2 is waiting in a ghillie suit. He opens with a sneak attack and a speech. I open with rending claw. The claw wins the argument, tears through his laser and his chest in the same motion, and his head joins the growing collection of heads I have personally introduced to the ground. In his bag, a map to an underground ruin guarded by a tier 2 puppet. Too strong for me today. I pocket the map. Today me sets up gifts for next week me. That's the whole business model. The dragon wolf dies in exactly 1 rending claw, which even I find a little rude. I drain its blood into jar and head for the exit, where fate is standing in line. Wang Mei, with her father. And her father is the kind of man whose aura you can't feel at all, which in this world means he's so far above you that your senses just politely decline to measure him. She introduces me, all sunshine. Dad, this is the classmate who rejected me, so you had to bring me here yourself. Thanks for that, by the way. Her dad, Wang Haorong, shakes my hand, chats about my talent, and smiles. And later, when they walk away, he tells his daughter, and I only learn this much later, that boy reeks of blood, human blood and beast blood. Strong body, rich chi, killed scavengers on his first trip, and his eyes have no fear in them. Befriend him. Papa Lee smelled the corpses on me and concluded I was excellent son-in-law material. Rich people are built different. Me, I'm looking at Papa Lee and thinking one thing. This man is a walking warehouse of rare materials, and I know the second evolution path of his daughter's talent. Everyone thinks healing light only evolves into nature light, healing or combat. Pick one, cry about it. My cheat says there's a holy light path that does both. That's not information, that's a product. The negotiation takes 1 lunch. I message Wang Mei that I found a recipe in a secret realm ruin. She sends me 7 messages of increasing capitalization, and we meet at a restaurant where the private rooms cost more than my house. I ask for materials, death subdragon scales, heart blood, and heaven and earth treasures on top. Papa Lee agrees so fast the ink doesn't even dry, and then his eyes narrow because I just ordered dragon parts and he knows my talent. He asks, very casually, did you find an evolution path for Dragonclaw? I smile and say nothing. He nearly drops his chopsticks. In his head, I've just been promoted from lucky kid to top-tier genius. In my head, I'm doing the math on his 4 heaven and earth treasures. On the way out of the restaurant, guess who? Guozi Chen, in a suit, radiating the confidence of a man whose father owns things. He does the whole routine. You can't afford this place. A toad shouldn't dream of a swan. Stay away from Wang Mei, or you might die on your way home someday. I look at this clown threatening me in a suit his daddy bought, and I lift him off the ground by his throat, one-handed, and hold him there while he kicks like expensive laundry. I don't want to hear dogs barking in my ear, I tell him, and I especially don't want to next time. Then I toss him across the pavement. Word of advice. If you're going to humiliate the son of a crime-adjacent business family in public, be aware of what happens next, which is that he calls his dad and says 4 words, "Dad, I'm going to kill someone." And his dad, instead of asking literally any follow-up question, says, "Fine, just don't do it in the city." Wonderful family. Very normal. So now there are thugs tailing me, a hired killer with a scar collection waiting for me to leave town, and me cheerfully soaking my dragon claw in wolf blood every morning like a skincare routine, because that's how the second trait activates. 3 days of soaking and my arm grows dragon muscle, a trait that doubles my strength output the way an ant carries 50 times its weight. My punches now come with a built-in multiplier. The potion I brewed for Wang Mei converts her family's healing talent into holy light on the first try. A hired tester slices his own arm and heals it with golden fire while everyone in the room quietly recalculates my market value. Papa Lee pays me 2 sets of evolution materials plus 4 heavenly treasures, one of which boosts mental energy, the one stat money usually can't buy. That night, I eat 2 of the treasures at once, scream into my pillow for 15 minutes while my body burns itself stronger, and wake up with stats in the 60s. The thugs are still tailing me. My cheat and I both know where this is going. Guozi Chen can't touch me in the city, but people die in secret realms all the time. So the next morning, I walk to the secret realm nice and slow, letting them see me go, basically holding a sign that says "Free Protagonist, come and get him." Behind me, in a phone call I'll hear about later, a scarred man promises young Master Xie my head. Realm Trip 2 starts with me robbing a fresh ruin 2 lucky idiots found first. They tell me to get lost if I don't want to die. I don't get lost. One of them throws a lightning punch, and I take his head off before the lightning finishes crackling. The other one runs, which I respect, and dies tired, which I predicted. The ruin coughs up a scroll called the Ancient Tree Visualization Method, a meditation technique for growing mental energy, which is exactly the stat I can't buy. The GPS really does love me. Then I find a rock, sit on it, and wait for my assassin like a man waiting for a bus. Instead, the forest delivers Liu Ruoshi, my classmate with the whirlwind talent, sprinting out of the tree line with her combat suit shredded and a very large gentleman chasing her. He's got strength talent and the personality of a landfill. She skids to a stop next to me and gasps out a request for help. Behind her, the gentleman suggests I leave so he doesn't have to snap my head off. And here's the thing, she's holding a talent stone, which is the rarest consumable in this world, the key ingredient for gaining a second talent, priced at whatever the seller feels like because there's never one for sale. So I make her an offer. Give me the stone, I kill him for you. She hesitates for exactly 1 second, which, given the market price, is honestly impressive, and says, "Deal." The big guy charges. We trade 1 punch, and my dragon muscle turns his confidence into modern art. Second exchange, my rending claw goes to mastery level mid-swing and takes his head clean off. Liu Ruoshi hands over the stone and then stands there watching me pocket it. "You could at least say thank you," she says. "For what?" I ask. This is a legitimate transaction. She calls me a hopeless straight man and rolls her eyes so hard I hear it. Then, instead of leaving, she sits down next to me, patches her wounds, asks who I'm waiting for, and when I say a tier 2 enemy, she stands up so fast she leaves an afterimage. Before vanishing, she leans her whole face into mine and demands we swap contact info. I swap. Some negotiations you just lose. The assassin doesn't show that day, so I spend the evening meditating. 7 hours pass like 10 minutes, my mental energy jumps 5 points, and there's this faint sour feeling in the technique I can't place, like the method doesn't quite fit me. Remember that sourness, it's foreshadowing. Over the next 2 days, I max my stats. Blood, fruit, meditation, more blood. 100 across the board, first person in maybe ever to hit the tier 1 cap, because everyone else evolves early, like impatient children. And then the cheat pings a fresh ruin, and this is where the story stops being about school bullies. The ruin is an underground palace with a puppet at the door, a war machine built for killing tier 2s. My cheat marks its weak point, left rib, so I fistfight a robot, crack its core in 2 hits, and walk into a hall that smells like a slaughterhouse with incense. Deep inside, 2 men in blood-red robes are guarding a pool of churning gore and chatting about their god. The Blood Sect, cultists who farm blood essence in secret realms to feed something big, and who have killed so many people here that the city thinks it's just scavengers being scavengers. They're tier 1. I'm a maxed tier 1 with a dragon arm. It's not a battle, it's a staff reduction. The first one loses his head before he finishes saying who's there. The second one tries to bleed on a summoning statue, so I tear off his arms and then his everything, and I stomp the statue before whatever's on the other end picks up. The statue shatters, and out of it rises a projection. An old man in blood-red robes with a face like bark and an aura like an open grave. A blood sect priest. The real kind. He looks at his 2 dead employees, then at me, and promises that the sect will make my death legendary. Then he asks, with grand villain gravity, for my name, so he can remember it. And I look this ancient monster dead in the eye and say, "Remember it well." My name is Guozi Chin. Look, the man was going to hold a grudge either way. I simply forwarded the grudge to someone who deserves it. The priest carves the name into his soul and dissolves, vowing vengeance on a rich brat who, at this exact moment, is probably getting a massage. I stand there alone in a murder basement, grinning like an idiot. Best prank I've ever pulled, and it's not even close to done cooking. Then I strip and climb into the blood pool because my cheat says the essence inside is clean and priceless, and I have long since stopped asking my cheat follow-up questions. It hurts like being born in reverse. When I crawl out, every stat says 100, my skill says mastery, and my body is holding surplus energy in reserve like a loaded spring. Cap reached. Theory time. I drink my evolution potion, the one I brewed from death attribute materials, and the world holds its breath. Dragon scales crawl up past my elbow, over my shoulder, and turn black as ink. Death mist curls off my arm. Dragon claw evolves into death dragon arm, and the panel rewrites itself in front of me. All limits 500. 500. Evolving at the cap didn't just double my ceiling like everyone else's evolution, it quintupled it. That's the secret nobody knows. Max first, evolve second, and the universe pays you 5 to 1. Everyone else in the world has been cashing out early on the best slot machine ever built. The unevolvable talent is now Tier 2, 6 days after awakening. On my way out, the scarred assassin finally finds me. Tier 2, wind talent, 100 refined blade, very proud of both. He gets 1 sentence of monologue out. My new arm blocks his sword with the sound of a spoon hitting a tank. He goes pale, tries the whole speed routine, appears behind me, and I catch his blade with my fist and shatter it. Then he does the smartest thing he's done all day and runs, and I do the funniest thing I've done all day, which is rip a stone pillar out of the ground and throw it. It catches him at 40 meters like a javelin catching a rabbit. Before he died, he tried to buy his life with a video, and the video is genuinely spicy. Guozi Chen's father, on camera, making deals with an off-world organization called the Myriad Star Tower, power in exchange for services. I don't know what a Myriad Star Tower is yet, but I know blackmail gold when I'm holding it. Back in town, I get my talent stone appraised. Psychic type. My cheat immediately lists every psychic talent it could brew, with compatibility scores, and one line reads, Body of Recovery, Adaptability, 100. A healing body, weak on its own, everyone says. My cheat is already showing me evolution paths nobody's ever heard of, including one called Absorption Body that eats damage and throws it back. I add it to the cart. Meanwhile, in a scene I'd have paid money to watch, 2 blood sect enforcers arrive in the city with orders to kill Guozi Chen. They pull up his file. There's exactly one Guozi Chen in this city. The woman shrugs, and I quote her energy, if not her words. Both of them are named Guozi Chen, so let's just kill both. That night, Guozi Chen gets jumped by monsters in blood robes and lands in intensive care, and I find out from the class group chat over breakfast. The teacher warns everyone to be careful walking at night. I type, so sad, hope he recovers, and eat another dumpling. My fake name did more damage in 1 week than his real bodyguards prevented in a lifetime. That evening, Liu Ruoshi collects on the meal I owe her, and we end up at the fanciest restaurant in the city, which happens to be crawling with well-dressed strangers. Admissions officers, she whispers. Every year, the top universities send scouts ahead of the exam, and every rich parent in town shows up to wave their kids at them. One of the scouts glances at me across the room, does a small double take, and files something away behind his eyes. Remember him too. He's about to change my address. The walk home is where the night gets interesting. 3 blocks from the restaurant, I catch a smell that doesn't belong on a food street. Blood, fresh and wrong, and my GPS pipes up with its usual bedside manner. Dark alley that way, a tragedy in progress. I ask for specifics and it says, and I quote, the vibe exactly. 2 mages from another world are harvesting a human soul. Off you go. Mages, robes, staffs, pointy hats, the whole costume, except the robes glitter like starfields. They're crouched over a body in my city, bottling what's left of a person. And they're complaining to each other about how risky this errand is, how their Lord Truth keeps sending the weak ones because the weak slip through undetected. I recognize the uniform from Guozi Chen's blackmail video, Myriad Star Tower, doing door-to-door soul collection in my neighborhood. The first one hears me at the last second and gets a fireball off. I lean past it and open his chest with 1 claw. The second one screams a name, throws a wind blade the size of a door, and I tear the wind blade in half, which I could tell surprised everyone in the alley, including the wind blade. He burns the rest of his mana on an ice dragon that stalemates my claw for 1 genuinely fun second, then runs dry and dies tired, like they always do. And then I rob 2 wizards. And let me tell you, the novels were right. Mages are loaded. Space pouches full of coins, potions that boost mental energy, materials with names like white bone grass and burial flower, a drop of life water, a branch of a tree of life. Between 2 dead sorcerers, half the ingredients my death arm's next trait needs. I call the authorities after I finish shopping, obviously. Priorities are a ladder, and I know my rung. The officer who shows up is a mountain of a man named Wang Feng, who takes 1 look at 2 dead extraterrestrial mages and 1 intact teenager and asks, how? Let's do this first, then that, then it's solved, I tell him, gesturing. He tells me to speak like a human being, so I say, I was stronger, so I won and killed them. He stares at me for a long second and decides he likes me. By the end of the paperwork, he's patting my shoulder and telling me to get into a good university and go fight in the Rift battlefield, whatever that is. That night, he phones an old army friend who happens to be an admissions scout in town, the one from the restaurant, and tells him about a kid with absolutely top-tier potential. 2 dead mages, 1 phone call, and my future quietly changes hands over a cop's cigarette. That's how this city works, and for once, it's working for me. The school announces a training week before the exam. Our instructor, a scar-covered military man, lines the class up, picks me as the sparring dummy, and runs the whole class at me one by one. Wu Qin comes at me first, speed talent, mostly angry that Liu Duoshi smiles at me and swears at him. One kick, he flies like a kite with a string cut. Liu Duoshi tries her whirlwind. I flick her aside gently, because I'm a businessman, not a monster. Wang Mei surrenders on principle. Guo Zichen, freshly out of the hospital and freshly stupid, throws a stone arm punch, and I break his arm in one exchange. Personal grudge, I tell the instructor. He nods like a man filling out paperwork. Then he takes me to an empty field for a private match, feels the mastery level skill and the evolved arm in short circuits. He asks how, and I say, with my whole chest, isn't this something anyone with hands can do? The man stares at me the way you stare at a talking horse. Afterward, he teaches me ancient yoga, a body-tempering posture set, and my cheat immediately starts correcting my form. Left hand 2 centimeters left. Push harder with your heels. Chin up. My cheat has opinions on yoga. I have a personal trainer bolted into my eyeballs, and the yoga works so well I stop questioning anything. That evening, a middle-aged man knocks on my door. Su Liang, admissions officer from Wuku Academy, the top university in the capital. Here weeks early because the instructor gossips like a retired auntie. He offers a $1,000,000 scholarship, free everything, and pick of the treasure vaults. I say I'll think about it, which we both know means double it. He doubles it later. Negotiation is easy when the other guy came to you. Exam day. They teleport a few thousand of us to a cleared, large-scale secret realm. Rules, 7 days, points for kills. Tier 1 beast is 10, Tier 4 is 5,000, special items 5,000 each, watch on your wrist, leaderboard live. What the announcement leaves out, and what I clock immediately, is that points transfer between watches, and nobody's banning player kills. The adults built a battle royale and called it an exam. And in a tower outside, 3 old monsters watch every camera, because this whole thing is also a talent scouting operation. Fine by me. Let's give the scouts a show. I drop into a silent ancient forest, and my GPS immediately starts narrating. Tier 4 rhino sleeping that way. Do not poke. Goblin tribe this way. Weak, and they're hoarding 2 ingredients you need. Sold. I hit the goblin camp like a health inspection. 30 little green guys, 2 big ones, and me. And honestly, the hardest part is the smell. 10 minutes later, I'm rinsing green blood off my claw and pocketing bone dust and a healing fruit, both line items on my shopping lists. Then the GPS mentions a heavenly spirit fruit nearby, rainbow-colored, lets you enter Epiphany if your brain is good enough. And by now, you know I'm sprinting before it finishes the sentence. At the fruit tree, a python ambushes me and dies, standard procedure, and then a candidate from another city strolls up, sword on fire, and tells me to drop the fruit and get lost if I want to live. I want to be clear that I gave him the same chance everyone gets, which is one look at my face to reconsider. He swings. I catch his flaming sword barehanded, snap it, and put my claw through him. Before killing someone, you should be prepared to be killed. That's not a threat, that's just the exam syllabus. He didn't read it. I eat the fruit inside a hollow tree, drop into Epiphany, and my rending claw climbs to perfection level, which doubles my output again. Outside the realm, the 3 old men watching the screens have started referring to me as a good seedling with decisive heart nature. I do sense someone watching at that exact moment, actually, a faint pressure from the sky, and decide it's the officials. It is. They're taking notes. One of them is already planning to fight the other 2 for me. Then the fun stuff. In an undead corner of the map, a rusty banner spear is stuck in the black dirt, and the thing that crawls out holding it is a Tier 3 skeleton knight in full armor. Tier 3. 500 points. It cracks my dragon scales with the first exchange, which genuinely delights me. First thing all week to leave a mark, and then my lifesteal kicks in, the wound closes, and I tear its helmet and skull apart with 3 swings. My watch buzzes. First place. Some guy named Sun Jian in the capital has been grinding beasts non-stop for 2 days, and I just passed him with 1 kill and a looted soul pearl. A pillar of light announces the first special item, and by the time I arrive, 5 Tier 2s are having a standoff around it. They generously offer to let me leave alive. I ask who gave them the confidence. The speed guy blurs at me first and dies mid-blur. 1 punch, head gone. The other 4 decide to jump me together, which on paper is smart. In practice, the psychic pins me for 1 second. I flex out of his hold, tear the wind guy in half, tank the lightning guy's best shot on my forearm, and take his head off on the counter. The psychic runs. I let him. Somebody has to carry the legend home. The loot is stupid. 10 grams of soul dust, which completes my Death Arm's next evolution list. A blood Tai Sui, a sun-facing flower. My cheat quietly points out that between the corpses and my backpack, I now hold every single ingredient for the body of recovery. The universe is force-feeding me a second talent, and who am I to argue with the universe? I find a cave, grind the talent stone into powder, brew the potion, drink it, and spend 10 minutes making sounds that would get an exorcist called in most neighborhoods. When it stops, I have 2 talents. Nobody else my age has 2 talents. The traits activate in the dumbest ways imaginable. One wants me to binge eat meat with rich blood, the other wants me to cut myself repeatedly and heal. So I spend a day roasting an entire tier 4 rhino I beat to death, eating until my stomach files a complaint, and slicing my own forearm between courses like the world's most disturbing cooking show. Blood spring, activated. Rapid healing, activated. From now on, minor wounds close before they finish hurting. Between hunts, the realm hands me the best business relationship of my life. My GPS flags a mountain monkey territory, and specifically the bamboo where the monkeys brew their wine. Actual monkey wine, fermented from flowers, fruit, and whatever treasures the monkeys shoplift from the forest. Delicious and body strengthening and impossible to buy. I scare off the Monkey King with 1 flex of aura and drain their entire cellar, 20 caddies, feeling only slightly like a health inspector robbing a family bakery. And then the GPS mentions there's a stranded goblin merchant nearby, and that monkey wine is the one currency no goblin can refuse. Goblin merchants are a legend I'd only read about, a race of knee-high traders who walk between worlds, popping out of cracks in space with bags full of impossible goods. This one is roasting meat in a cave, grumbling to himself, and when I show up, he goes stiff, until I pour a cup of monkey wine and let the smell reach him. His nose twitches, his eyes go round. He introduces himself as Tata and hands me a recording stone, his full catalog, and browsing it nearly gives me a nosebleed. Succubus fluid, a titan's ancient spear, heart of a fire dragon, an angel's mercy, whatever that is. A knee-high creature in a cave is carrying the inventory of a god's pawn shop, and for one shameful second I consider robbery, and then I consider what kind of race casually collects dragon hearts, and I return to honest commerce at speed. 18 caddies of wine buys me death blood and dragon horn powder, ingredients off my evolution list that money literally cannot find. Tata, drunk and delighted, tips me off about an auction some examinees are running nearby. Then he tells me to keep any good wine I find, because all goblin merchants love wine, and his clan will remember my name. A tiny arms dealer just adopted me on the strength of my beverage program. Networking comes in strange shapes. Deep in the map, I find ruins from a world called Irwin, a temple built by worshippers of a sacred dragon god. The picture book inside tells the whole story. Their god fought something that came through a crack in the sky and lost, and the believers watched their deity get torn apart above their heads, wings falling like rain. The temple fell through a space crack and landed here, and the survivors died out slowly, and the last one drew a final page. One night, he saw a familiar light fall from the sky into the distance. A piece of his god's power crashed somewhere in this realm, never found. I'm holding a treasure map drawn by a dead man's homesickness, and yes, I feel something about that. And yes, I'm still absolutely going. The temple also has a breathing method, the sacred dragon breathing method, basically fan-made based on staring at their god for centuries. It only works if you have dragon blood in your veins. I have a dragon arm. 2 hours of breathing exercises later, my organs are vibrating in harmony, my blood is boiling, and a dragon's roar comes out of my chest, and I awaken dragon might, an aura that makes lesser creatures kneel first and ask questions never. Fan-made. Imagine what the licensed version does. Then, hiking toward the auction some students set up, I glance at a random tree because my GPS clears its throat, and there's a blackened skeleton on a branch with a space bag. Inside, an ancient rune for dragon breath, and a diary. The dead man was a tier 3 who found dragon remains in a mountain, took the rune, got chased here by the guardians, and died writing a map and a request for revenge. His map points to the same spot as the temple's last page. The god power, the dragon remains, one location, gift wrapped twice. The auction is a fence-ringed camp run by a chubby smart kid named Fang Chen, 3rd on the leaderboard, who figured out the point transfer trick and turned it into an economy. I'm barely through the gate when a white-clad capital prodigy named Zhou Yu walks up and demands my special item, framing the robbery as a favor since weak people holding treasure just die. He gives Wang Mei, who's been waiting at this camp for me, one chance to apologize for calling him shameless, so I slap his head off his shoulders. That's not a metaphor. One slap, mid-sentence, in front of the whole camp. In the silence that follows, Feng Chen very carefully asks nobody in particular to please not fight here, and I ask him what he plans to do about it, and he decides, wisely, that Zhou Yu had it coming. Later, he apologizes to me with a gift, a dragon blood fruit, and becomes the most reasonable person in this story, purely out of survival instinct. Outside the realm, one of the old men watching just laughs and says the kid can flip the table, let him. The scariest part of this world isn't the monsters, it's the grading rubric. At the auction itself, one lot stops my heart. A drop of death sub-dragon heart blood, the exact final ingredient of my next evolution, found by some kid who has no idea what he's holding. I bid 1,000 points, the room lets me have it out of pure fear, and then I pay Feng Chen to ask the seller where he found it, and the answer makes me laugh out loud. Same mountain, same spot. Everything in this realm points at one hole in the ground, so fine, message received, I'll go to the hole. The hole, it turns out, is popular. On the way, my cheat flags 2 groups converging. Blood sect enforcers, the same pair who hospitalized my favorite fake name. and 2 myriad star tower mages escorting of all people Guo Zichun himself, whose father sent him here with a map and hired wizards because the tower wants the fallen god power and daddy wants his son to graduate rich. Also present, 1 tier 5 death subdragon, 50 meters of black scales and bad temper, sleeping on top of the treasure like the world's worst customs officer. Here's my plan, and I want you to appreciate its purity. I hide in a tree with Wang Mei and have her shoot the dragon once, confirming it's a guardian that won't chase. Then I learn dragon breath off my new rune, using a dragon power crystal I dug up nearby. The learning process makes me involuntarily roar like a jet engine, and the roar rolls across the whole region. To the blood sect, a dragon's roar means the guardian of a god's power. To the tower mages, same. Both groups drop what they're doing and sprint straight to the dragon. I didn't lay a trap, I just cleared my throat, and 2 evil organizations RSVP'd to their own funeral. What follows is the greatest show I have ever watched from a tree. The succubus-blooded blood sect woman and her minotaur partner meet the mages. They all realize nobody can solo the dragon, so they team up, which lasts exactly as long as the dragon does. The dragon melts a mage into bones with one breath. The survivors carve the dragon down to its last legs. Then the head mage rips a scroll and summons a clone of his boss, an archmage called Lord Truth, who rains meteors and wind blades on the blood sect pair. And Guo Zichun, I cannot stress this enough, activates a forbidden domain trap he was carrying, so nobody can escape or use their own trump cards. Rich kid finally useful. The blood sect duo die like cornered animals, and the woman's last words to the mage are, "I'll wait for you down below." Then the clone runs out of battery, and the mage stands there, victorious, surrounded by corpses and one dying dragon, laughing. That's my cue. Wang Mei puts an arrow past his ear from one side. He turns. I put my claw through his heart from the other. Physics is simple when you're patient. He dies asking how, which is the most popular set of last words in my life right now. And then it's just me and Guo Zichun in a crater full of bodies. He does the speech. His father won't let me get away with it. His father has many more like these. And I thank him, sincerely, because the phone in my pocket is recording, and he has just confessed his family's tower connections on camera, right next to 2 dead extraterrestrial wizards. Then I ask if he wants to do it himself, or should I help? He chooses violence, loses an arm, and dies with my claw in his chest, still not understanding that he was never the villain of this story, just the paperwork. The dying dragon is barely breathing, so I give it mercy, collect 23,000 points in 1 instant, and the leaderboard stops being a competition. Then I dig where the map says, and 4 meters down, the ground glows. A complete dragon power crystal, condensed divine power, and next to it, wrapped in 7-colored light, a piece of the sacred dragon god's own flesh, eroded by centuries down to a sliver of its power, which for me is the difference between dying instantly and getting the meal of a lifetime. Because that's the thing my cheat confirms with visible glee. I'm dragon attributed. I can eat this. I roast god meat over a campfire. No seasoning. Respect the ingredient. It tastes like the concept of victory. I pass out for half a day while my body rebuilds itself and wake up to find my dragon muscle upgraded from doubling my strength to quadrupling it, and my strength itself through the ceiling. Wang Mei, who guarded my unconscious body all night and roasted the regular dragon meat for breakfast, has concluded I'm the most reliable man alive. Meanwhile, the loot pile includes a projection scroll from the dead mage, and when I tear it, Lord Truth himself materializes, sees his dead student, and swears the myriad star tower will hunt me across worlds. He demands my name. If I dare give it, I dare. Diwen City, I tell him, and remember it well. Wu Qin, my classmate. The guy whose entire crime is glaring at me over Liu Ruoshi. Somewhere across the void, an archmage carves that poor boy's name into a revenge list, and I sleep like a baby. The names game now stands at 2 victims, and both of them earned it by being annoying, which I think is a fair tariff. The last days of the exam are almost relaxing. Liu Ruoshi shows up with a gorgeous ice-cold girl named Yang Lin, 4th place, who politely requests a duel to see the number 1. One exchange, her water blade meets my fist, and her own attack comes back at her doubled because my new absorption body ate it. She flies 20 meters, gets up, wipes her mouth, and thanks me with shining eyes. This world's prodigies are all like this. You hospitalize them, and they add you on social media. The 4 of us farm a canyon of beasts together for points. I spend the downtime getting beaten up by a rhino on purpose because, yes, my absorption trait activates through getting hit. This talent tree was designed by a comedian. When the exam ends, the board reads, 1st place, Zhang Bo, 128,000 points. 2nd place has 100,000 and my sincere condolences. At the exit, Sun Jian is waiting, the capital's grinder, 2nd place, who spent 7 days hunting non-stop and lost anyway. He asks for 1 match, right there. We fight, I win, and he shakes my hand and promises to surpass me with the face of a man who just found religion. Him I like. Back in the city, one loose end ties itself into a bow so beautiful, I almost cried. Lord Truth reported the name Wu Qin to his clients. His clients include Guo Ming, Guo Zichun's father, who now believes Wu Qin killed his son and stole his tower's treasure. So Guo Ming, a tier 3 with a private army, storms our school to murder a teenager who has never spoken to me. I happen to be in the crowd. As Guo Ming winds up for the kill, I throw 1 dragon spear from the back row. It crosses the courtyard like a black lightning bolt and nails him through the forehead, and the last thing he does is gurgle a threat at the wrong boy, promising that the Myriad Star Tower will avenge him. Wu Qin, who at this point has been marked for death by a blood cult, an archmage, and a business empire, stands over the corpse of a man he's never met, and asks the sky, in a small voice, what a Myriad Star Tower is. Officer Wang Feng shows up, thanks me for public service, hands me a bounty, and advises the sobbing Wu Qin to enroll somewhere far away as soon as possible. I'm not saying I'm a bad person. I'm saying the comedy writes itself and I just hold the pen. Oh, and the exam results come in. First in the martial trial, first in the written, top score of the whole country. The academies descend like seagulls. Xu Liang doubles everything as promised, and I sign with Wuku Academy, the top school in the capital, with one extra request. Let me enroll early. Sitting at home is a waste of a cheat. But before the capital, one more evolution. All my stats are capped again, thanks to god meat and a blood pool's worth of treasures, and I've assembled the Death Arm's full shopping list. I drink the potion in my bedroom, and this time, the change doesn't stop at the shoulder. Scales flood my whole body. Black armor from neck to heel, a tail, claws on both hands, horns, and a dragon's face looking back at me from the mirror. Death Dragon Soldier, Tier 3. My cap jumps to 1,000, and the trait, once I melt down that antique banner spear and paint the liquid metal onto my scales, screaming quietly the whole time, is called Dragon Weapon. My scales can now flow into my hand and become that spear on command. I stand in my tiny bedroom in the poor district, 9 feet of black dragon holding a death lance, and the neighbor bangs on the wall to ask what fell over. Nothing, auntie. Just the food chain. The capital is floating islands, sky rails, and ancient trees growing through skyscrapers, and Wuku Academy is bigger than my hometown. Xu Liang flies me in on his pet crow, hands me a 2 million point scholarship, a private villa, vault privileges, and a warning that every teacher in the school is about to fight over me. He's not exaggerating. That same evening, he posts 3 sentences about me in the staff group chat, and then turns his phone off, and I later hear the chat produced 400 messages, most of them teachers arguing about who's qualified to mentor me, with the leading answer being nobody. The principal, a white-haired old man with eyes like deep water, gifts me an elemental talent stone at our first meeting, just because. Filed under debts I'll repay when it matters. Then I go exploring, because this campus has 3 kinds of playground. Secret Realms, a rift battlefield for Tier 4s and up, and something called Worlds of Annihilation, Dead Worlds, entire universes that got killed, and you can walk in through a door and loot the corpse. I pick door number 1 and step into a murdered world. Blood-red sky, ash for soil, ruins to the horizon, and the things that killed it still squatting in the wreckage. Demons. Little red ones with pitchforks come screaming at me 30 seconds in, and my dragon breath, yes, I have dragon breath now, turns the welcoming committee into a bone display. And then the GPS drops a sentence that stops me cold. There's a great demon sleeping under a mountain here, drinking this world's aura of destruction to upgrade its bloodline, and it's too strong for you, unless you use what's in your bag. What's in my bag is a poison I looted from a ruined pharmacy earlier that day, brewed by some dead genius who tried to poison a god. The label, as translated by my cheat, reads, kills anything below Tier 5 on contact. So I crawl down a tunnel, tiptoe past a lava lake to where a 10-meter demon lord is snoring, uncork the bottle, and pour it on his head like I'm watering a plant. The next 60 seconds are the loudest of my life. The demon wakes up dissolving, face melting off the bone, and swings blind while I pepper it with dragon breath from the tunnel mouth. It dies furious, and it does one last thing before dying that I will be paying for all season. It detonates its own soul into a broadcast. Every demon in this world receives a message. Kill this human and inherit everything I own in the abyss. My cheat translates the announcement and adds, cheerfully, congratulations, you are now wanted by an entire species. I stand there, holding a demon corpse worth its weight in stat points, in a world where every single resident just got my face as a bounty poster. Worth it? I drank the demon's blood and my stats went up 100 points, and my dragon might mutated into red lightning that deals actual damage. So yes, worth it. Ask me again when 100 of them are chasing me. One more thing happened in that dead world. Small at the time, expensive later. While I was digging potions out of a ruined pharmacy, a lion man dropped out of a tree and tried to open my throat, then demanded my loot, and when I didn't hand it over, he pulled rank. He was, he announced, the follower of a mighty senior at the academy, and touching him meant touching her. I told him, honestly, that I'd never taken seniors to heart, and killed him mid-gasp. Here's what I didn't know yet. Follower contracts run soul deep, and when a follower dies, the master sees their last moments. Somewhere on campus, a woman named Fan Chin woke up with my face burned into her memory and a hole in her collection. File that under pending. Back on campus, I hit the pet market with Lyrina. Oh, right, Lyrina. Let me introduce Lyrina, because she matters. She's a dragonkin, a woman with crimson hair and scale-marked skin, from a race born of dragons, and the whole campus knows her because half the seniors have tried to recruit her as a follower, and she's turned down every one, sometimes with her fists. See, powerful talent users collect followers from dying worlds, because one day, if you make it to the top, you become a world master, a person with an entire universe inside their body, and your followers move in. It's real estate futures, except the property is you. Lyrina's world is dying. Her people are down to their last 2,000, and she came here to find a king worth betting her whole species on. And the day we met in that dead world, she felt the dragon blood in me and decided, on the spot, that the only being a dragonkin kneels to is a dragon. She's been calling me Your Highness ever since, and I've stopped correcting her, partly because it's useless, and partly because, let's be honest, it slaps. At the pet market, the shops sell mystery eggs, 99% trash, 1% legends, and every buyer is gambling blind. Every buyer except the guy whose eyeballs come with tooltips. My cheat strolls down the shelf going, Firewolf, Bear, Dying Egg, Don't Bother, and then stops dead. This one is a dragon Kirin, a hybrid of a dragon and a Qilin, divine beast bloodline, and the shopkeeper has it priced like a fancy dog. I buy it so fast my card smokes, and I buy the flame subdragon egg next to it too, and hand that one to Lyrina, because her people dream of riding dragons and I apparently have a heart after all. She holds the egg like it's made of sunrise. Best 100,000 points I ever spent. And that's when the extortion letter arrives. A messenger boy finds me in the market and relays word from a second year named Fan Chin. She's giving me a chance to apologize for killing her follower, the Lion Man who ambushed me in the dead world, and the apology costs 1 million points. Around us, the whole market goes quiet, because Fan Chin is famous, tier 4, crazy, backed by a boyfriend, even seniors avoid. I tell the messenger to deliver my counteroffer, tell her to meet me in the life and death arena, and if she doesn't dare, I'll simply find her in whatever realm she hides in, and kill her there. The market processes this. Somebody drops a cup. The messenger sprints off like his shoes are burning, and the forum melts down overnight, with half the school promising to come back from vacation just to watch one of us die. Fan Chin's response is smarter than expected. Instead of the arena, she ducks into a secret realm with her boyfriend Ding Lei and leaks her own location, betting I'll chase her into an ambush, and they hire an information merchant to track me. Remember the merchants? Neutral Guild, Iron Rules, never sell a client's location. Turns out the rules bend if you offer enough. I enter the realm anyway, because between me and their ambush stands a simple fact they don't know. I've evolved again. First though, a delivery at the campus gate that told me exactly how the adults of this world see me now. Papa Lee came in person, and he brought Wang Mei's mother, Wang Qing, a woman with a tycoon's smile and a blade's eyes, who runs an entire evolution potion corporation. The official business was simple. I'd sold them the next stage of Mei's holy light path, and my price was 1 drop of heart blood from a true dragon, a material so absurd for my tier that both parents visibly refiled me under prodigy, handle with care. They got the drop. Papa Lee's face while handing over dragon heart blood to a teenager was the face of a man investing in a volcano. And then Wang Qing made her real pitch. Partner with my company, sell your evolution recipes through us. 40% of everything. 40%. From a woman who probably doesn't give 40% to her own reflection. And I said no, flat, no counteroffer. Because the second my recipes flow through someone else's empire, I'm not a partner, I'm a goose. And this world has a documented procedure for geese with golden eggs. She studied me for a moment, the way you study a lock, then smiled and left her card. Smart woman. She'll be back when I'm too big to swallow, and by then, the terms will be mine. This one deserves its own paragraph. Body of Recovery had evolved into Absorption Body, and Absorption Body's evolution list included something impossible, a path that required my dragon talent as an ingredient. Fusion Evolution, 2 talents melting into 1. Nobody in this world has ever done it. The government has theorized it for decades and shelved it as suicide, and my cheat just printed the recipe like a smoothie order. Qilin blood, dragon blood, life treasures. Leo Roxy got me the Qilin blood, by the way, by calling her brother, who heard little sister needs Qilin blood, said okay, and went dragon slaying with his roommate the way you'd run to the store. I don't ask questions about her family anymore. The potion took me an hour of feeling like a dragon was doing renovations in my chest. When it ended, the principal himself was hovering over my villa, drawn by the aura. He watched a student perform an evolution that isn't supposed to exist, and laughed to himself like a man whose lottery ticket just hit. I came out of it with the mad dragon physique. Passive talent. Every future evolution boosts all my stats, and in combat, the longer I fight, the stronger I get, no cap in sight. My third talent slot, freed by the fusion, sat empty exactly 1 week before I filled it with lightning infusion off Fan Chin's own looted recipe, but I'm getting ahead of the story. So, the ambush. I walk into the desert realm they chose, and my GPS immediately distracts me with a sleeping tier 5 desert subdragon, which I fight on purpose as a fitness test. The test goes like this. It hits me once, hard. My blood boils, the mad dragon wakes up, my stats start climbing mid-fight, and 30 seconds later I suplex a bus-sized dragon over my shoulder and beat it to death while my attribute panel scrolls up like a slot machine paying out. Then I drink it. All of it. It's a dragon, and the rule stands. If it's dragon, I eat it. In its nest, I find a soft crystal that grants photographic memory, because apparently this realm hands out superpowers as loot now. Then Tata finds me. My favorite knee-high arms dealer tracked me across realms with a locator stone, spent an actual rare artifact just to find me, because in his words, his judgment is never wrong and I'm the best investment his clan will ever make. He gives me a communication stone that works across universes, and then, naturally, we trade. I swap him 30 caddies of stone bamboo wine for a death crystal, an ingredient off my next impossible list, and he skips away burping happily, muttering that being my friend is the best investment his clan will ever make. A goblin believes in me harder than my own homeroom teacher did. Noted, the trail leads underground, into a ruin that reeks so specifically of blood and incense that I recognize the decorator before I see the logo. Blood Sect. They'd converted an abandoned dragon breeding lab into a monster factory, soaking beast eggs in a corrupted pool under an idol of some evil god, mass-producing deformed horrors with too many arms and mental screams for attacks. My mental defenses at the time were a rolled-up newspaper, so before diving in, I tear a scroll Tada gave me and summon a projection of his friend, a mind arts master from the Void Realm. The master turns out to be a talking strip of purple kelp named Mo Shuen, one eye per side, attitude of a retired professor. The kelp takes one whiff of the corrupted air, complains about the smell of evil gods for 2 straight minutes, then teaches me mental protection in 10, a shield for the soul that takes normal people a month. Void kelp, best tutor I ever had. Deep in the lab, 3 storylines collide in one room. Fan Chin, Ding Lei, and their bot information merchant have blundered into the ruin ahead of me, and the factory's prize monster, a regenerating 4-armed thing tethered to the idol, is beating all 3 of them like drums. The merchant bails first, invisibility talent, apologizing to his clients on the way out, and runs face first into me at the exit. Here's the thing about information merchants. Their entire guild lives on one promise: we never sell a client's location. So I let him beg for exactly one sentence, the one where he admits out loud that selling me to Fan Chin broke guild law, and my phone records it. Then I punch his head into the wall. The recording alone is worth more than his life was, and his guild is going to agree with me in writing very soon. Fan Chin tries the reasonable alliance speech, then the sneak attack, then the psychic pin, in that order, and none of it survives contact with a body that eats damage. I put her face through the floor twice and end it. Ding Lei, to his credit, has a real trump card, a short-range teleport scroll, which he uses to appear behind me for a killing blow. My GPS described the scroll to me while it was still in his pocket. I catch him mid-blink, rip off his arm, and toss him to the 4-armed monster, which tears him in half with the exact energy of a toddler opening a present. Then I stroll to the idol powering the monster's immortality and step on it, and the monster collapses into soup mid-roar. Housekeeping complete. The idol, before dying, coughs up one last projection, and would you look at that? It's my old friend the Blood Sect priest, the one hunting Guo Zichen. He sees his lab ruined, his monster melted, his 2 dead employees, and me standing in the middle of it, waving. His eye twitches through the whole conversation. He promises to investigate my real identity personally this time. No more tricks. I nod along, very solemn, and tell him, of course, in that case, write this down carefully. My name is Wu Qin. The silence lasts 3 seconds. Then he screams that he'll never believe me again and evaporates, which means he now has 2 names he refuses to believe and 0 real ones. And somewhere out there, poor Wu Qin's legend grows another chapter he'll never read. The scam is self-sustaining now. I just top it up when I'm in the neighborhood. The realm has one more surprise, and it's the wholesome kind. By a lake, I meet a kobold in a linen robe, feeding breadcrumbs to a bird, katana across his knees. Kalen, a sword saint from a race of cannon fodder, who left his world to wander the universe and polish his blade against strong opponents. He asks for one exchange, and when I point out there's nothing in it for me, he lays out his life's treasures and offers me my pick if I win. We square off by the lake. He swings once, and his sword chi splits the ground to the horizon. Genuinely the most beautiful attack anyone's thrown at me. I split his sword chi with one claw. He sheathes his blade, bows, and hands me the heavenly spirit fruit I chose. Then, seeing me eye the movement technique rune I didn't choose, he just gives it to me because he already knows it by heart and I clearly need it. A kobold with more class than every human aristocrat I've met combined. We part promising to meet again, and I genuinely hope we do. Loose ends tie themselves off in a satisfying row. The information merchants call me within a day of the recording going up on their own private site, apologize with a straight face, and pay hush money, a rare dragon visualization method, and an enlightenment leaf in exchange for deletion. Extortion? No, consumer protection. My dragon Kirin egg hatches into a wobbly little thing with a Chilin's body and a dragon's head that headbutts my shin demanding food and eats heaven and earth treasures the way other pets eat kibble, and I name her Chang Ya and accept my new role as a walking wallet. And Liu Ruo Shi gets her Twisted Space evolution potion, brewed by me, paid in Qilin blood, both of us pretending this is a normal transaction between classmates and not the black market deal of the decade. Then I go back to the murdered world, because there's a bigger fish out there, and it's been staring at me through a crack in reality. Quick context. Back when Lyrina and I first met, she told me the principal once announced that somewhere in this dead world hides a supreme treasure, the single most suitable treasure for talent users, never found by anyone. And on my last trip, my GPS finally pointed at the ocean and told me what it is, a heaven and earth wonder. When a world dies, sometimes its consciousness, the actual mind of the planet, condenses everything it has left into one final artifact before the lights go out. This world's dying wish is sitting in a deep-sea trench 1,000 nautical miles out. Small catch, an evil god found it first. The overland leg to the coast comes with 2 encounters worth the toll. First, a giant strength fruit glowing on a dead tree, and standing across from it, a second year named Dang Jun, who recognizes me, sizes up the situation, and proposes the civilized solution: we fight for it, winner eats. I like him immediately. He opens with Godspeed, an evolved speed talent, and a fistful of dragon elephant force that actually pushes my arm, first classmate-shaped person to manage that, and for 2 exchanges we have a genuinely good time. Then I stop holding back a quarter, and he takes the hint along with a chest wound, yields with a bow, and thanks me for pulling the punch. And then, being a decent human, he pays for his loss with information. Zhou Yu, the prodigy I slapped out of existence at the exam auction, has an older brother, Zhou Guang, 4th year at a rival academy, and word is he's been sharpening a grudge all summer, waiting for the day our schools meet in the Rift battlefield. Wonderful. Another surname in the queue. I thank Dang Jun, eat the fruit, and feel my strength hit a nice round 1,000 while my to-do list grows another funeral. Second encounter, shorter. A succubus ambushes me near the shore, all curves and charmlight, whispering into my skull to look at her. My mental protection eats the whisper. I catch the claw she was sliding toward my heart during the eye contact, and I decline the whole product category. She dies surprised. They always do. Gentlemen, if a stranger in a dead world is too pretty and wants eye contact, she is not flirting, she is aiming. I swim down with breathing potions, and the trench is a horror movie set. A black pagoda the size of a building stands on the sea floor, sealed tight, and around it crawl deep-sea warriors, faithful of the evil god. Human faces with octopus tentacles where dignity should be, scrabbling at the walls looking for a way in, and above them, torn into the water like a wound, hangs a rift, and through the rift stares an eyeball. One eyeball, bigger than a house, ghost white, rolling slowly, radiating whispers that crawl into your ears and start rearranging the furniture. The god of the deep sea and madness, watching from across 1,000 universes, unable to enter, because the demon lord who killed this world put up a rule on his way out. No gods allowed. The pettiest, most useful landlord dispute in cosmic history. The eyeball notices me. The whispers hit like a tide, and even with mental protection blazing, I feel my thoughts bending sideways. Every cultist in the trench charges me at once, and my cheat, totally unbothered, prints the entry instructions. Punch your own chest, cough heart blood onto the door, walk in. So I sprint through a wall of tentacles and water spouts, slam my fist into my own sternum, spit blood on the pagoda door, and the world goes white while the evil god's scream shakes the trench behind me. I later learned that at that exact moment, somewhere in the void between worlds, the actual god reached toward this universe and got its hand blasted off by the demon lord's leftover defenses. It sent a single drop of its blood crawling toward the trench instead, the long way, through 1,000 worlds. Remember the drop. The drop is homework. Inside the wonder is a pocket universe, floating islands, blue sky, cloud bridges, and in the distance, a golden palace on a pillar of light. The core. Claim it. Own the wonder. My GPS immediately starts listing the local produce, and the local produce is unhinged. A giant god fruit that boosts every stat at once. A tempering fish. A monument that grants epiphany, and a blessing from the dead world itself. I kill the ancient tree guarding the fruit by exploiting its fear of fire, eat everything on the list over 2 days, and watch my stats sail past 1100 while my cheat keeps saying things like careful, savor it you glutton. And then, in the forest, I meet an elf. Lyra, doe-eyed, dressed in leaves, adorable, who invites me to her tribe because her chief welcomes all non-evil visitors. 300 elves live here, refugees teleported in by the world consciousness before it died, in exchange for one job: guard the core until a worthy master comes. Their chief is Seraphina, former elf queen of a fallen kingdom, silver-haired, crowned, the kind of beautiful that comes with an orchestra. She invites me to tea in the great tree. The tea is an ambush, not with knives, with theater. Her fire elf guard starts barking that I should kneel before her majesty. Her daughter, the princess, radiates practiced disdain. The script is obvious. Humiliate the guest, break his pride, and then, my cheat helpfully explains, guide him into a master-servant contract because the elves long ago decided this wonder should belong to them, and since none of them can claim the core, plan B is to own whoever can. Slavery with extra steps and a floral arrangement. I want to be honest about what happened next because it's not a pretty scene and I'm not going to dress it up. The fire elf demanded I kneel one too many times and I killed her. The princess reached for her power and I killed her too. 300 bows drew on me and I let my dragon might off its leash and the whole tribe hit the dirt at once. And Queen Seraphina, staring at 2 bodies and an army that couldn't stand up, knelt on both knees and told me the truth. All of it. The plan, the contract scheme, everything. And then she told me the one thing that changed the math. The tree of life can resurrect elves. Full revival. One catch. The dead come back blank. No memories. They believe whatever they're first told. You see where this went. I'm not proud of it, and I'm not ashamed of it either. This world doesn't grade on intent. Every elf in that tribe died once that day, and the tree brought back every single one, and the first thing 300 blank slates were told was that a dragon god had come to protect them and that they were his people. Serafina went last. She walked into the mist herself, spine straight, a queen to the end. And when she opened her eyes again, she knelt with the rest of them. I stood in the middle of a tribe that worshipped me with clean, empty eyes, and something invisible started flowing off their prayers and into my bones, faint and warm, and my cheat labeled it faith power, and I decided that was a problem for a much older me. The tribe cultivates a new tree of life now. They're safe, they're fed, and they're mine. In this world, that's what a happy ending costs. While the elves prayed, I did paperwork on myself. And by paperwork, I mean surgery. First, the empty talent slot. Among Fan Chin's loot was a complete recipe for lightning infusion, everything measured out, missing only the talent stone, and I'd been carrying the principal's gift stone since day one. 1 hour of brewing, 1 potion, 1 full-body cramp later, I have a third talent, lightning crawling over my knuckles, and a trait that activates by shocking myself 100 times, which I do, in a cave, alone, like a man committed to the bit. Then the realm coughs up thunder attribute materials on schedule, because of course it does, and lightning infusion evolves into thunder body, which doesn't just wrap my strikes in voltage, it tempers my flesh with every storm I eat. 3 talents, all evolving, 1 body. The old research papers said this density of power should tear a person apart. The old research papers never met my cheat. And then, the main event, 4th tier. The Death Dragon Soldier became a Dragon Blood Warrior, and this one changed the game board. Black scales with veins of fire, wings, 4 times the muscle, a tail I keep forgetting about until it knocks over furniture, and 2 new party tricks. 1. The power of death itself now answers me. A black mist I can flood a battlefield with, and everything it touches gets its life pulled out through the pores. 2. I can devour slain dragons to permanently raise my stats. My diet and my career have officially merged. The evil god, meanwhile, finished its homework. That drop of blood arrived in the trench, possessed a shark, and inflated it into a 10-meter faithful with 2 faces on its chest, which broke into the wonder with 100 cultists to collect me. It found me on a floating island and made an offer, in slow, wet syllables. Embrace the god, become its offspring, receive power. I told it the god wasn't worthy, and I'd like it noted for the record that when 100 fanatics rushed me, I only needed 1 punch. About that punch. Between the fruit and the fights, I'd done something in this wonder that I'd been circling for weeks. Using the Epiphany Monument and the remnant heart of an ancient dragon I dug out from under a subdragon's nest, I fused my 3 best cards, Rending Claw, Mutated Dragon Might, and the Power of Death, into a single technique of my own design. Custom skills are near myths here. Geniuses spend decades failing at them. I had a World's Blessing, a Godheart snack, and a cheat calling out my mistakes in real time, and when I stood up from that epiphany, my claw had folded into a fist, and the fist had a name, Dragon Fist. First test swing split the floating island in half, actually in half, 2 islands now. I stood on the crack looking down at the clouds through my own handiwork, and the only thing I could think to say was, okay, that's fair. So the shark. It punched me with the borrowed strength of a god, and my dragon fist met it head on, and the shark went down like scaffolding. It stuffed 100 of its own cultist hearts into its mouth to power up, grew 3 meters, came back, and went down again. Then the god's drop of blood cracked its skull open from inside and grew an eyeball, and the actual evil god looked at me through its puppet and offered, one last time, power, wealth, everything in exchange for the core. I told it that everything it offered, I could take myself, and that a god who can't even walk through a door shouldn't be making promises. The eyeball went very, very still, and then it spoke a sentence that's going to hang over the rest of this story. You will bear my gaze. Wherever you go, I will know. Then I drowned the puppet in death mist and stepped on the eyeball. But I felt it, the moment the words landed. Something settled on me, thin as frost, deep as a brand. A god's attention, permanent, tireless, watching from a place I can't reach. My cheat had no removal instructions. First time for everything. The core trial, after all that, was almost a comedy sketch. I touch the golden bead, a solemn phantom of the world consciousness appears, and it offers me a moral dilemma. Destroy 1 gate and my whole world dies. Destroy the other and everyone I love dies. Choose. I check the left gate with my cheat. Wrong answer. I check the right. Wrong answer. I check the phantom itself and my GPS with what I can only describe as Glee Prince. That guy giving you the quiz? Punch him. Trust me. So I punched the moral dilemma in the face, and the trial declared me worthy on the spot, because apparently the correct answer to an impossible choice is refusing the premise with violence. The core sank into my chest, a golden mark over my heart, and the whole pocket universe, islands, palace, tribe, and all, folded itself into me. I own a world seed now. The wonder is called the Heaven and Earth Tower, and its specialty, the reason a god spent years scratching at its door, is that it accelerates comprehension of the law of space. The single most coveted law in existence, and it's currently being used as a storage closet and an elf sanctuary because its owner is 19 and can't use laws yet. The god can keep watching, let it marinate. I came home to Wuku 2 weeks overdue and walked straight into a scene. At the exit of the dead world stood Lorena, who it turns out had been waiting there for days. Looming over her was a senior named Feng Zi, loudly explaining that I was definitely dead in there and she should follow him now, while his eyes did an inventory of her that made my knuckles itch. She told him to get lost. He offered her a week to grieve, and then I put my hand on her shoulder shoulder from behind, and I watched 5 stages of grief happen on that man's face in real time. He apologized. His brother arrived, Fang Kai, 3rd year, tier 6, and explained that I should accept the apology and some gifts, and that he was tier 6 in the tone people use when the number is supposed to end the conversation. So here's what I did with the number. I grabbed Fang Ze by the neck, kicked Fang Kai hard enough to break his fist on my shin, paid 3 entry fees at the Dead World's door, and dragged both brothers inside. 2 went in, 1 came out. The campus found out when the next student through the exit tripped over what I'd left there, and by nightfall the forum had a new rule of thumb. The academy forbids killing on campus. The academy does not forbid doors. Lyrina and I signed the follower contract that evening, soul to soul, the real thing, unbreakable. My first true subordinate, though the word doesn't fit what it is. And I made her a promise. Once the world tower is stronger, her dying people, all 2,000 dragonkin, move into my inner world, whole, safe, permanent. She cried. Dragonkin cry very quietly, in case you ever need to know. Then she went off to train so hard the gym filed a complaint, because in her head, a follower of a Dragon King can't afford to be weak. Warmest thing in my whole cold ledger, and I'm keeping her. The next day, we go for a walk and end up at the Nova Tower, and this is the part everyone on campus still talks about, so let me do it justice. The Nova Tower is a 70-floor gauntlet. Every floor holds a simulated enemy, every 10 floors is a full tier, and the 10th floor bosses are tuned to crush even limit-evolved talent users of that tier, on purpose, because the school wants students angry and hungry. There's a leaderboard, daily payouts for record holders, and a giant screen outside broadcasting your floor number to a permanent crowd. When we arrive, a 5th-tier senior named Wu Jie is stumbling out of floor 58, swearing about the difficulty, and the crowd is applauding him like a returning war hero. 58 is elite. Remember that number. Lyrina looks at me with sparkling eyes. The crowd looks at me with betting eyes. A friendly senior introduces himself, mentions a mutual friend, and says, "Let's talk after your run," with the confidence of a man who assumes my run will be short. I walk in. Floor 1, 1 punch. Floor 2, 1 punch. The floors are 1 second apart on the outside screen, and by floor 20, the crowd noise has changed from chatting to counting. The 10th floor bosses, the ones designed to be invincible within their tier, get exactly 1 punch each, because the school designed them for limit evolvers, and I'm something the design document didn't cover. Floor 40, the crowd is filming. Floor 50, seniors are sprinting across campus to watch, and the teacher's group chat has opened a live stream. Floor 57, the enemy that wrecked Wu Ji tries a wall of compressed wind blades, and my dragon fist erases the blades and the boss in one motion. And outside, Wu Ji makes a noise the microphones pick up. Floor 60, 6th tier, the equivalent of the strongest students in the graduating classes. 1 punch, 2 punches, the floors slow down to minutes apiece now, and the outside screen shows the whole campus what a 4th-tier freshman climbing through 6th-tier bosses looks like. Floor 68 is a full transformation demon warrior with 3 talents that don't officially exist because, and I figure this out mid-fight, the tower bosses are the government's simulations of undiscovered evolution paths. The whole building is a research lab that pays students to generate combat data against theoretical talents. Which means somewhere in an office, a scientist theorized a fire-lightning fusion talent, and I'm the first person to meet it and live. It nearly takes my arm off. It's the best fight I've had in a month. I win it with a fist wrapped in death and red lightning, breathing hard, grinning like an idiot. Floor 69, a dragon. An actual fire dragon. 40 meters, the tower's guess at what a dragon transformation talent looks like at its peak, and the irony of me fighting my own future is not lost on either of us. We trade dragon breath, mine eats its. We trade shoulder throws, the floor loses. I kill it with dragon fist and stand there in the smoke, and the tower, unimpressed, loads floor 70. Floor 70 has a person-shaped thing standing in the middle of a bare room, and around that thing, the air bends. Law. Actual law power, the physics editing authority of the truly strong, wrapped around a 6th-tier frame as a final exam question. My cheat runs the numbers and doesn't even sugarcoat it. No path to victory. So I do the strongman version of wisdom. I surrender on the spot and walk out with the record anyway, because it turns out nobody in the history of the academy has ever cleared floor 70. The strong students who could grow into it age out of trying. The tower's final boss just sits there, undefeated, a standing insult. I look up at it on my way out and make a quiet appointment. Outside is a wall of faces. The screen reads floor 70 next to my name. The teacher's live stream has devolved into open swearing, and the crowd parts like I'm carrying something contagious. Which, in a way, I am, because the trouble finds me before I finish waving at Lyrina. A 3rd year named Ding Tao steps out of the crowd with murder on his face and introduces himself as Ding Lei's older brother. Ah, that family. He's brought backup, and the backup makes the whole street go quiet. Hao Li, 4th year, president of the 100 Ghosts Club, nearly tier 8, campus famous for killing people over eye contact. The kind of senior that other seniors cross the street to avoid. Hao Li looks me over, decides my face displeases him, and offers his terms. Kneel, kowtow to Ding Tao, apologize, and he graciously lets me live. The crowd holds its breath. Wu Jie tries to object and gets aura slammed into silence. And I stand there, one day off a god fight, fresh off 70 floors, and I start laughing. Because these people have no idea what walked out of that dead world. Here's what I do instead of kneeling. I raise my fist, and I let a thread of something leak out of it. A strand of divine law, pure earth attribute law power, harvested from a dragon god's crystal, sitting in my body where I can't use it for years yet. Law power is the currency of the top of the world. Every almost graduate in that crowd feels it, and every face changes at once. And I make an announcement to the whole street. This strand goes to whoever kills Hao Li. I just put a bounty on a club president, in public, at market rates, and the market is very interested. Hao Li stops laughing and swings at me, full power, no warning. I meet him head-on with Dragon Fist, and the exchange knocks me back 3 steps. 3 steps. He's tier 7, and I slid 3 steps. His face does something complicated because his full swing was supposed to shatter a 4th tier like glassware, and instead, his own arm is numb and the freshman is grinning at him, saying out loud, "So this is tier 7, you're weaker than I hoped," and I mean it. 3 tiers above me, and it's already this close. Another month and I won't need a bounty. Turns out I don't need a month. A shape drops out of the sky, grabs Hao Li by the skull, and drives him into the street hard enough to crater 50 meters and knock Ding Tao unconscious in the splash zone. Gao Ping, president of the Zeus Club, tier 8, the strongest student in the school, and a man who heard the words divine law from across campus and arrived at terminal velocity. He holds Hao Li down like a naughty cat, negotiates the price with me over the sound of struggling, and when we shake on it, he asks how I intend to get around the no-killing rule, and a helpful voice from the crowd, bless that student forever, mentions what I did with the Liu brothers. Gao Ping's grin goes floor to ceiling. He hoists the president of the 100 Ghost Club over his shoulder and walks him through the door of the dead world like a man returning a defective product, and comes back alone and pays me a compliment about exploiting bugs that I frame and hang in my heart. The law strand changes hands. Hao Li's story ends off screen, in a world where no one can hear the rules lawyer. Ding Tao wakes up in my hand, on the wrong side of the same door. I'll keep this part short because it was short. He came for revenge with borrowed muscle. The muscle got repossessed, and his last trick, a curse woven into his own death, splashed against my absorption body and got digested into spare energy. His whole vendetta, start to finish, cost me 1 afternoon and gained me a cautionary tale the campus tells for free. Beat the young one, the old one comes. Beat the old one, and it gets very quiet. Gao Ping, cleaning his hands, makes me an offer that would end most stories right there. Join the Zeus Club and inherit it. President of the top club, handed over like keys. The clubs here aren't hobby circles. They're centuries-old power structures with territory, budgets, mission channels, and star maps that let members claim entire discovered worlds. Presidents of top clubs graduate into the actual aristocracy of this world. And I turn him down, politely, with the truth. An old club is an old house. Every big decision has 40 ghosts voting on it. I don't do committees. I'll build my own. Gao Ping stares at me, points out that every scrap of campus resources is already claimed by existing clubs, that new clubs die in obscurity, that this is objectively a terrible plan. Then he looks at the tower screen, still showing my floor, and laughs at himself, and wishes me luck in the voice of a man revising his predictions. Before I climbed it, nobody thought I'd see floor 70 either. Strength argues better than I do. The last stretch of break is domestic by my standards. I hire 2 maids for the villa because between realms I keep coming home to dust. One of them, Tang Jing, is a polished professional. The other one I pick because my cheat clears its throat at her. Panroy, plainly dressed, hollow-eyed, standing apart from the crowd of applicants, famous in the servant market for an impossible condition. Whoever hires me must kill a man. The man is Ye Hua, 3rd year, tier 6. Her father, a tier 1 nobody, found a thunder irrigation fruit in a high-level realm, a treasure to set his daughter up for life. Ye Hua wanted it cheap, got refused, and killed her parents for it, and lawyered the murders down to a settled feud. And the only reason the girl herself is alive is that killing her too was momentarily inconvenient. She's been standing in that market ever since, offering the fruit itself as the bounty, and every talent user who hears the name Ye Hua suddenly remembers an appointment elsewhere. I hear the story, check the fruit against my needs. It happens to be the exact tempering treasure my lightning talent's last trait requires, and the math does itself. I tell her, from today you're mine, the fruit is mine, and Ye Hua is dead. He just hasn't been informed. She kneels in the middle of the market and cries like a dam breaking. Lorena starts tracking the target the same evening. Some purchases feel better than others. And when Rui hands me the fruit early, unprompted because she'd rather arm her avenger than hold collateral, I eat it that night. Lightning threads through 36 points in my body, and my last dormant trait wakes up. Thunder, excitement. On command, my body doubles everything it has for a short burn. A nitro button, paid for by a dead man's greed, delivered by his orphan. Ye Hua funded his own execution and doesn't know it yet. There's a word for that. Poetry. Term opens with a ceremony, the principal telling a stadium of freshmen about bright futures while I fight sleep in the back row next to Sun Jian, who followed me to Wuku along with Fang Chen, Yang Lin, Liu Ruoxi, and Wang Mei, my whole exam gang under one roof. Class 1, Combat Academy, the school's collection of monsters, which lasts exactly 4 minutes in peace before a kid named Wen Min decides the fastest way to make a name is over my body and announces to the room that my legend is inflated hype. I put his head through a desk, and when he swings back with fire and wind on his fist, I catch it and I take the arm off. He runs from the room screaming, trailing red, and the classroom learns the local physics in one lesson. Lorena texts me a question mark. I text back a name. Weeds and roots, her people say. I'm learning elvish patience and dragonkin thoroughness, and between the two, my enemies should invest in insurance. Our homeroom teacher walks in, tier 7, gorgeous, takes one look at the blood, sighs like a woman who read my file, and exempts me from every class on the spot. Officially, attendance is strength-based here, and mine tested out. Unofficially, I catch the note under her comm, the same note the whole faculty hums now. Nobody in this building is sure they're qualified to teach me, and the principal has quietly stopped assigning me a mentor at all. About the principal. Around this time, on a mountain in another universe, he's having tea with an old monster friend and bragging. I only hear the shape of this later, from the kind of sources a man with a dragon Kirin and 3 fanatical tribes accumulates, but the gist rearranged my spine. The two of them ran a research program decades ago into impossible evolution paths, fusion evolution included. It failed, they shelved it. And now the principal has watched a freshman do it live, casually, twice. His friend is so delighted he stands up mid-conversation, and when an angel god tears open that world's sky to complain about territory, the friend, this kindly old man who plays chess and drinks tea, cracks the firmament with one punch and tells a deity that strength decides ownership. That's the weight class watching my homework. The old men of this world punch gods, and they've started a betting pool on me, which would be flattering if the other side of the ledger weren't filling up just as fast. Because here's where my story stands. On the first morning of term, when I saddle up Chang Ya, who is now horse-sized and walks on air and makes every student we pass die of envy, and ride her through the sky toward the dead world one more time. Yi Hua entered it an hour ago, my target on a plate, and the demons in there are still rioting under a dead lord's bounty on my head. Routine, by now. Except at the gate, one heartbeat before the world swallows me, I feel it. A gaze from inside the crowd, cold and wet with killing intent, and under it, a smell I know better than my own name by now. Blood and incense. The blood sect has a person inside Wu Ku Academy, inside the walls, watching me board my pet. I don't catch the face before the door takes me. Fine, I've been on their list under 2 fake names. Time someone in that sect learns the real one. Except, deeper in that dead world, in a palace under the ash, something I won't learn about until it's almost too late is already in motion. A devil king, an actual son of an abyssal god, is standing over a blood-red lotus fed by the planet's dying veins. The lotus is the treasure, the principal's supreme treasure, the most suitable treasure for talent users in existence. And the Devil King knows exactly what it's worth, because he's not planning to use it. He's planning to bait it. The demon riot, the dead students, all of it has been cover. And Ye Hua, my Ye Hua, the man I'm currently hunting, just sold his species for a title. He agreed to leak the lotus's location to every prodigy in the academy, so the best of my generation walk into one hole in the ground on the same day and don't walk out. A trap built precisely for people like me, baited with the one thing I was always going to come for. And except for the oldest item on the list, the one that never sleeps, somewhere past the edge of everything, an eyeball the size of a house is still open. The god of the deep sea and madness doesn't know where the lotus is, doesn't care about devil kings, and has no way into my world. It just watches, me specifically, forever, waiting for the day I get strong enough to leave the safety of my home universe and go shopping for materials among the stars, which I will, because my shopping lists only get worse. On that day, the whisper and the gaze and everything behind them will be waiting at the door. So that's where you find me. 19, 3 talents, 1 custom fist, a world in my chest, a tribe of elves praying to me, a dragon woman who'd die for me, a leaderboard I broke, a club I'm about to found, and a kill list with 1 name left on it for this week. Riding an air-walking dragon Kirin into a murdered world, marked by a god, shadowed by a cult, aimed at a trap I don't know exists. The strongest talent, and also the worst. They got it half right. Ask the tower. It knows which half.